What does cutting out coffee, intermittent fasting, PPIs, and going plant-based have in common? That none of them work when you're trying to heal your gut. And just to be clear, neither does getting diagnosed with mild or chronic gastritis. Today, we're gonna talk about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to healing gut issues. We're talking bloating, we're talking IBS, gastritis, acid reflux, you name it. Because if you're watching this video, it's probably because some of your solutions have not worked. And there's a reason for it. And before we continue, my name is Mariu Cabral, a certified holistic nutritionist specialized in gut health. I help women who feel let down by the system, whether it's conventional or holistic, heal their gut using a natural approach. Most women that come to me have a history of gastritis, acid reflux, chronic bloating, or just severe IBS, and they have tried so many different things and they really haven't worked as expected. I'm also a certified autoimmune protocol coach because gut issues and autoimmunity, the most common one that I see, by the way, is Hashimoto's, are very much interconnected. And just a heads up, by the end of this video, I'm going to invite you to a free class that I will be hosting on August 18th. So fast forward or read the description if you don't want to miss out. Now let's get to it. So I want to start by sharing my own struggles and my own healing journey and the things that I tried myself. Some worked, some didn't, and some for sure changed my perspective. So let's start there first. Then I'm going to talk about the things that my clients have tried. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the things that actually worked. Spoiler alert, we're going to need a full other video for that, but I just wanted to introduce you to this new life. So I developed chronic constipation when I was in my early 20s, and with that constipation came really smelly farts, and it was mortifying. But not only did I experience constipation and gas, I also started developing this weird taste for meat till like I couldn't eat meat at night. Otherwise, I wouldn't sleep because it felt like my body was still digesting it. I would have a ton of phlegm. I would just cough all night. It was just awful. And it was just with red meat. Little did I know when I studied holistic nutrition that that is a sign of silent reflux. So I had that. I just didn't know I had it. And something else that I had that I then was able to make the connection that it was related to my gut was the energy drops like around 2 p.m. Like I felt like the energy was sucked out of me the moment 2 or 3 p.m. came about and I needed a donut, coffee, or a nap, but I just could not function. And that was definitely impacting my work. And you know, this is not a big deal for a lot of people. Many people are fine with living this way, but I was already a very health conscious person. I was eating very healthy, I exercised, I slept a good amount, and I felt like I was not getting a good return on investment based on everything that I was doing for my health. So I knew that something was up. So now that you have a very simplified picture of how I was feeling, it certainly felt worse in the moment. Let's talk about the things that I tried to heal my gut. Number one of the things that worked for me a little bit and then kind of didn't was elimination diets. Because I was trying to figure everything out, I tried the Low FODMAP diet, I tried going plant-based, I tried eliminating dairy and legumes, and I also tried the paleo diet. Obviously, all of this in different phases of my life. And what I found was an initial, you can call it a high, like an elimination diet high, where the first couple of weeks of an elimination diet, I felt great. When I was plant-based, I felt so much lighter and I felt like, oh my God, my digestion is so good. And then I felt weak and I felt more gassy and bloated. When I tried the Low FODMAP diet, I felt that a lot of the foods that I originally was able to tolerate, by the end of the diet, I felt more sensitive to, and that just felt off for me. And paleo was good, but it was in a way harder to sustain because I am Latina, I love rice and beans, and I just thought that there needed to be a different way because I couldn't live without lentils and black beans and rice, obviously. So paleo didn't last long. I did feel really good on paleo, but it's just not sustainable. And it was just kind of like messing up with my head a little bit when I wasn't able to comply with the diets. And mind you, I was doing the diets right. because I am already a very health conscious person. I was doing the whole foods route. So it's not that on plant-based I was eating fake meats and just like eating processed foods. No, I was eating whole foods plant-based. So it's not that I was doing it wrong. But through this trial and error of like trying different ways of eating and modalities is when I made the connection that food wasn't the issue. Because through all of these different diets, in one way or another, I still had gut issues. I still felt bloated and gassy and was constipated and just felt too full sometimes to function. So that's when I realized, okay, there's gotta be something else, something that I'm not seeing, and it's not diets related. And now, number two of the things that I try, and this one sort of worked out, but not in the way that you would expect. And it was going to a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. A friend recommended her to me, and I was like, okay, let's go. I've tried so many things. Let me go with the holistic route. And I remember she gave me a bunch of herbs that tasted nasty, but definitely changed my bowel movements. Like I could see that something was going on because my bowel movements were a little different. However, I can't really tell you how much of that round of herbs that I took for about a month really helped me, because I remember still having gut issues after the fact. It was just like something was going on in my body. It felt off and different, but it didn't really fix anything. But the biggest thing that going to a traditional Chinese medicine doctor gave me was not healing, but it was the fact that it opened my mind and eyes to new possibilities and way of doing things. And what I mean by this is that when she evaluated me, she looked at my tongue. She took my pulse by hand. I don't even remember how she did it, but she did it by hand. She asked me about my bowel movements. She looked at my eyes and my ears. And this sounds silly, but it's just like I hadn't had that kind of medical treatment since I was a little child. Like this woman actually touched me to see how my body was. She even looked at my nails. And through the way she examined me and looked at me, I was able to see that everything in the body is in fact connected. So it felt like a remembering. Like what's going in the inside is going to reflect one way or another in the outside. One of the symptoms that I also had was a forever coated tongue. I always had a coated tongue. Didn't matter how much I scraped it, I brushed it, I did oil pulling. I always had a coated tongue and kind of a little bit of bad breath. And I had pristine hygiene. And after she looked at my tongue, and then I look up like, why do traditional Chinese medicine doctors look at the tongue? Is that I realized that the tongue is connected to the stomach and the intestines. So my coated tongue wasn't separate from my gut issues. It was interconnected. And that was just like, that blew my mind. I was already passionate about health and wellness then, but that in and of itself created a new awareness, and in a way is what inspired me to pursue holistic nutrition a few years later. So I owe that doctor a lot. I really do. So something that I wanted to bring home with this story is that if you've tried either the holistic path or the conventional path, and that hasn't fully worked for your gut issues, that hasn't fully healed you, I want to invite you into thinking about what you got from that experience, because just like I did, I was able to see how the body's connected and whatever. Maybe you got something too, even if it wasn't true healing. Maybe you got a little bit of relief. Maybe they shared a recipe with you that you to this day still make. Or maybe at the very least, you got clarity about the things that don't work for you. And that is still very valuable. Like, sometimes it takes a few tries in order for us to find what truly works for us. And it doesn't mean that we're broken. It just means that certain things are meant for certain people. And sometimes we just need to keep exploring. And number three of the things that I try from my chronic gut issues, in this case for constipation specifically, 0 out of 10, do not recommend, is using a ton of magnesium. That was terrible. So I use magnesium as a laxative, but not because I was thinking of using it as a laxative, but because in all the rabbit holes that I was going through when I was trying to figure my out, no pun intended. Everyone said that most people are so deficient in magnesium, and that might be the reason why they're constipated. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm magnesium deficient and that's all I need so I can go to the bathroom. So I got a magnesium supplement that was supposed to help with bowel regularity. And I remember taking the higher end of the dosage. So let's say the supplement said that you needed to take between 1 and 4 capsules, and I ended up taking 4. This was maybe my second time having it. And within 30 minutes, I developed an abnormal heartbeat. I don't remember if it was too fast or too slow. I just remember that my heartbeat was abnormal and I was so scared. I remember calling my partner at the time and telling him to just like drive to my house in case that he needed to drive me to the hospital. Spoiler alert, I was fine, luckily, but that was a really scary experience from something that is seemingly so safe, and it wasn't really safe. So lesson learned, not everything that people say on the internet is true for you. And also be careful with the supplements that you get. So now let's talk about what my clients, before they come to me, have done and tried in order to heal their gut issues. I'm just gonna share their experience as a whole. So number 1, going to the gastroenterologist. This is 10 out of 10. I recommend that you go to your gastroenterologist. This is really important. However, the way these appointments sometimes go may be really helpful or may be really not helpful. For example, some doctors, you just go and based on your symptoms without touching you or really evaluating you, just hearing your symptoms, they just go ahead and prescribe a PPI of any sort. And a PPI is a drug that is meant to reduce or block the production of stomach acid. And by doing so, you get a little relief. You might be on a PPI yourself. And if you have, you know that it's not really a great long-term solution. Another scenario when you go to a gastroenterologist is that then they refer you to an appointment to get an endoscopy or a colonoscopy, depending on your symptoms. And when you go through that process and get your results, a lot of people are very disappointed because the results often come as negative or as inconclusive, like there's nothing wrong with you, even though you know that you're having acid reflux or you're having all these gut issues that you can't figure out. So if you've had a normal result on an endoscopy or a colonoscopy, I just want to say that this is a great thing. This is great news and you should celebrate it, because this just means that you don't have a life-threatening situation happening to you. But it's also really frustrating not to have actual answers to your issues. So I do get why that is a problem. And then the other scenario when you go to the GI doctor is that you also do not get like a crazy result, because we know what a crazy result is. No one wants that, maybe a cancer diagnosis. But if you do not have a cancer diagnosis, I hope that you never do, then you just show that there's inflammation or there's irritation, nothing too crazy to call a diagnosis. So they just put a chronic gastritis or mild gastritis label. They love to just say gastritis and that's it. And they send you home with a handout and they tell you to go on a bland diet. And that is just as frustrating because it doesn't really address the root cause and it doesn't really help you long term. However, very helpful to get some quick relief. So yes to that. None of these scenarios when going to the doctor are really ideal, but they are very common. So if you've been there, you're not alone. I know so many people who have gone through that. So if that's something that happened to you and you want to share your story, make sure you comment it below and make somebody feel less alone. Another thing that my clients have tried with not so much success is going to naturopathic doctors. They typically get all these specialized tests done and then are put on a bunch of different supplements. And while supplements are a helpful tool that I myself also use very much in my practice, they can be overwhelming to take without addressing the root cause. And unfortunately, a lot of these protocols from naturopathic doctors don't have a lot of personalization, which I think is the secret sauce to heal the gut. It's just personalize it into you, your own lifestyle and culture and everything. The way that many naturopathic doctors operate, unfortunately, is symptom, supplement, symptom, supplement, symptom, supplement. So then you end up with like 10 different supplements all at once, and it's just too overwhelming. So I know that of all the routes, this is the most expensive and the most promising. So it is really disappointing when things do not go your way. If you spend a lot of money and resources to making the holistic route work, let me tell you that getting fancy testing and supplements is not really holistic. So it's not that the holistic route hasn't worked for you. It's that you haven't had the level of personalization that could actually move the needle. Like looking at your stressors, your work environment, your genetics, your culture, all of these are really important in order to make a comprehensive protocol that works. So don't feel bad about it and keep on searching. And if you're still watching this video, it's because you have been on a gut healing journey. I know it's exhausting. I know you've done so much, even much more than we have covered here in this video. But just like myself, what I didn't know then and what my clients didn't know before we got to work together is that healing your gut has an order to it, an order of operations. And when we don't follow that order, we're just not going to see long-lasting results. So most people fail because they don't follow the order of operations on healing the gut, which are number one, you don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things for you in the right order. And this looks different for different people. Number two, you don't need 14 supplements. You just need to understand where in your gut there is dysfunction, because somebody that has acid reflux does not have the same issue as somebody that is constipated and somebody that has food sensitivities. And of course, some things overlap, but understanding where the priority is when you can see the best results, when we can tackle the priority first. Because a lot of times we have a little bit of acid reflux or a little bit of problems in the stomach, but the only thing we want is not to be constipated. But hey, we need to figure this out first, the stomach, so then we can move down to the large intestine and find healing there and ease your bowel movements. And point number three, if I was not clear enough, let me be clear. Cutting out a bunch of foods is not the way you heal. What you're doing is coping, which is fine. Sometimes we gotta cope, but when you're just coping, you're not healing. This is why when you eliminate a little food here and there, like, oh, chicken today was kind of off, so I'm not gonna eat chicken for a while, or I'm not gonna eat cheese, whatever, you feel a little bit of relief in the moment, you feel a little bit of relief in the days past, but then another food will come along that is going to give you the same symptoms. It's a vicious cycle. So if you're at the point that you've tried everything and nothing works, you almost think that you're broken, you almost think that, well, you're resigned to this fate, I want you to know that it's not because you're doing anything wrong, but it's because the system that we're in is actually broken. There is a belief in the system that managing the symptoms is healing. We're treating symptoms in isolation, much like I was doing with my tongue scraping and brushing when all I needed to do was heal my gut. And we do not know how to address the root cause. That is why you are where you're at. It's not your fault. And there is a simpler way. It's not necessarily easier, but it's simpler and it's clearer. And if you want to learn what that looks like, I'm going to teach it inside my class, the Gut Freedom Formula. This is going to be a live class where I'm going to teach you about the system that I used on myself and that I use with clients to heal their gut from chronic issues, chronic bloated, acid reflux. I'm going to have a case study of a girl with Hashimoto's, a girl with IBD, all these crazy issues that not only affect your gut, but your energy, your sleep, your hair falling, your nails get weak, all of that. It is possible to heal when we start from our center, which is our gut. You can reserve your spot for free. All the information is in the description below. And if you cannot make it live, it's okay. I will send you a replay within 24 hours. Just make sure you register and say that you're going so I can send that later to you. It's gonna be a party, and if you found yourself in one of these stories, either mine or any of my clients, make sure you leave a comment so we all feel a little less alone. I'll see you in the next video.